Hi there, I'm John from CNCROI.com, and today we'll make a custom cottage wood sign. Just to change things up here a little bit in the shop, I decided to make this cottage wood sign. As you can see here, I did it using our CNC router instead of our laser. The reason for that is because I wanted to have a little bit of a bevel on all the letters, as you can see here. Now technically I could have done this with the laser as well. The only issue is the laser works based on material density, so that when you have, let's say, grain, which is denser, you engrave less deep than if there's no grain. So you end up with an interesting pattern, and I didn't want to have that for this project here. I wanted a very flat surface, and as you can see, it's totally flat. And that's only achievable using a CNC router, which we have here in the shop. The other thing I wanted to do was make a cottage sign where I actually cut out the entire shape. You see a lot of cottage signs where it's just basically a block with a picture and a few words in it. And you know, I could do that just as easily as making this. But I just wanted to make something a little bit more interesting. So that's why I chose a fish. And as you can see, everything is nice and sharp, even with extremely fine lines. things that you forget when you run a laser day in and day out for projects for customers is that you forget about how they used to actually make contrast. I wanted to have some contrast on the sign just so it's easier to read, as you can see, but I didn't want to use paint. The reason is because paint covers up the grain. Now this is definitely not the best wood to use for this project. It's just a piece of scrap I had in the corner again. But I wanted to have at least a little bit of darkness, but I wanted to make it look like it was like barbecued fish or something like that. So I could have done that a couple of different ways. I could have masked this and done this in the laser, but then what I would have is a very consistent burn because we have an Austrian laser that just is awesome. And I wanted something inconsistent. That's kind of hard to fake with such a good piece of machinery. So what I decided to do is actually go really old school and just use a normal wood burner. And I just went over all of the edges, as you can see. So by going over all the edges, I darken it. I produce the result that I wanted to. And I also have the contrast without using any paint. I find a lot of people get custom signs done for the cottage and they just fill the whole thing up with paint, and I always find that kind of odd because if you're going to do that, just go to the print shop and print something up on paper and post it on a tree. You end up with the same result. I think if you're going to do a custom cottage wood sign like this, you might as well use real material and use natural processes. So the contrast is just wood burning, and that's going to stay on there forever. Just normal wood. The only thing that would be left to do here is to finish it, to give it a little bit more contrast. That's something I didn't do here, but you know, for me to show this to customers to give them an idea what we can do, I prefer to have things unfinished, just so they can touch and feel it and say, okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. So if you're looking for a custom cottage wood sign, any shape, any size, this is a fish, if you want an elephant, whatever you want, any text, any font, contact me at CNCKing.com. And yes, I did catch a fish this big.